Okay, great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us here. Our topic today is going to be MSP's Outbound Troubleshooting Guide for 2024. My name is Corey Brown. I'm your host. Sorry, but this is what you get. CEO at SimpleSat, joined by marketing expert Derek Marin, founder and director of business development at Simple Selling, and Hannah Logan joining us, our one and only customer success team lead at SimpleSat. This is a nice little Simple Selling, SimpleSat sandwich here. Moving on here. So what's SimpleSat? What's Simple Selling? SimpleSat is the MSP's all-in-one customer feedback solution. Actually, before SimpleSat, I was starting a marketing agency and website management company called Pronto Marketing with my dad. And at the time, I was managing our support teams, and we were using Zendesk. And I was never really happy with Zendesk's binary good back CSAT options. And that's when it got in my head about that there had to be a better way to do it. I tried some services at the time, but they didn't work anyways. So that's kind of what got in my head about SimpleSat. And from then, finally, I just decided, let's do it. Let's start a SaaS company and build a solution that we thought that Pronto and all of our MSPs would want, because MSPs were Pronto's biggest customer. So we started SimpleSat. Now at SimpleSat, most of our customers still are MSPs. So we've built out the solution for MSPs, for their tech stack, for all of their jobs to be done in workflows. And at SimpleSat, really, it's about, we believe it's about asking the right question at the right place at the right time. And that's kind of our mission, to help MSPs and all types of small businesses do that. So all these different question types and metrics and delivery methods and all those sort of things, the analytics to understand it and improve your business. So that's kind of SimpleSat in a nutshell. And Simple Selling implements outbound businesses for MSPs, only MSPs, and Derek Marin is the president and founder at Simple Selling. And since 2019, his team has implemented outbound sales exclusively for MSPs. They've generated over 2,000 first-time appointments and counting, which has resulted in new MRR for both managed and co-managed services agreements. Derek is based out of Boston, Massachusetts, and a fun fact about him is that he and his wife lived in Costa Rica for almost 4 years, where they operated a smoothie shop called Simple Smoothies. No. What was it called?
It was actually Caracas and Arepa's Juice Bar. So my family is,
nice.
from Venezuela originally. So we're trying to bring some of that in Costa Rica.
Love it.
Didn't work out, but I'm here.
You're not in Costa Rica anymore, are you? Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So we're recording this presentation, and also you can get the slides. If you scan this QR code, it will send an email to our head of growth, Eric Saint-Germain, at eric@simplesat.io. So that's what this QR code does. So yeah, we'll be recorded. If you want to have any questions, just drop in the chat. You don't need to use the Q&A tool. If you do, that's fine too. But we found a chat. It's a little more informal, and everyone can see it, and we can answer right away if we don't do it at the end. And we'll have a link to a free video course for Derek to share at the end as well. So I think we're ready. I'm going to stop the share and hand it over to Derek.
Perfect. Let me just click away here and get the right tab. All right. And folks, please let me know if
this looks good.
I'm in the right place.
Yep.
All right, great. Well, folks, first off, Corey and the rest of the SimpleSat team, thank you so much for having me. And for the folks for joining, I know you guys and you MSPs are extremely busy. And so we're trying to make this efficient and high value for you today. So, just to start off, we need to talk about a little bit of the context here, because we're talking about troubleshooting outbound. And, from our experience of working with MSPs, especially, MSPs that have been operating for some time, is that you're really, really experienced and good with inbound, right? From using tools like SimpleSat and also just from providing a great service to your existing clients. And those referrals are fantastic. And we all love referrals, right, Corey? We all do. But when
Oh,
it
yeah.
comes to, hell yeah, right? I'll take those any day. But when it comes to outbound, it's a different world. We're interrupting someone else, right? And they've never heard of the person calling them or emailing them or the company that we represent. And so it's a different context, and that's why I think many companies, especially MSPs, have some bumps along the way. So, but it's still worth it. Outbound works, and so today we're going to talk a little bit about how to fix outbound prospecting, so that you get the return that you need. So to start off, it is ultimately, what we do in the prospecting and knocking on doors for MSPs. It comes down to knowing the math and the funnel, the outbound funnel, if you will. And so, think about, it starts at the very top with, what is the ideal client profile for your MSP, right? You guys, generally it's somewhere between, it varies, right? But I'm speaking generically with many of the MSPs that we work with. It's somewhere between, 20 employee headcount to 200, 250, right? And you work across various industries, many industries, right? Some of you guys are more specialized, but you want to be probably within driving distance, if you ever have to go on site, right? So we have to get that huge list of ideal prospects. So that's the very top of the funnel, right? The companies, the prospects, the decision makers, right? Then the next step is we have to actually go after them. We being our team, or the sales development reps, the ones doing the cold calling or the cold emails or the LinkedIn messaging, right? So that's our second line, second step here in our funnel, right? The actual sales activities, right? And then we have to, connect or actually have a conversation with a key decision maker or slash influencer, champion within these companies, right? And that's a challenge, right? And once we do, so moving on down, once we do have that conversation, we need to try to book the appointment, right? So we need to try to set that appointment, and then of course, just because the appointment is on the calendar, right, between yourself, the MSP, and the prospect, they don't all these appointments don't necessarily happen, right? We need to make sure that they actually happen, they get realized. And then based on how that conversation goes, right, we want, of course, for them to move forward into a deeper discovery with your MSP. So for them to convert into an opportunity, that's what we have our ops, and then we want them to be close won. So this is just, a series of different things that have to happen for you to get new managed or co-managed services agreements. And it's not easy, right? And this is why, we're knocking on doors, because you guys have bigger fish to fry, I would say, and helping your clients with all of their technology and cybersecurity compliance needs, right? So we do this stuff for you, but there is math that we need to track behind this. And the reason I pull up a bowl here in the strainer is because we want, as picture your favorite, I don't know, your favorite cereal, right? Frosted Flakes or maybe Cheerios or whatever it is that you like, or granola. Wouldn't you much rather, right, have it in this bowl, the one on the left, right, where you're going to get to savor it with the milk, right, as opposed to having it over here on the right side, where that cereal ends up real soggy because all that milk just goes right out, right out the bottom through all these little holes. And so many times with many MSPs that are doing this outbound for the first time, many times it feels like they're on the right side, or they're having that soggy cereal. And because so many leads are just falling through the cracks, and that's why many times they're not getting that return or getting those agreements close one that they need. So I'm hoping today that we can look at a couple of the bigger holes in on the right side here. And that's not to say that you plug these two, everything is gonna be perfect, but there's definitely two big ones that we're gonna talk about. So before I keep blabbering away, Corey, any thoughts, or anyone else up to now, I hate sort of talking right to the screen because I wish I could be in the room with
Right.
everyone.
I know thoughts
But
like I love the strainer analogy or the bucket full of holes. And another way when we were doing Pronto marketing, we would always say that as well, where like before you do outbound, you got to make sure you plug those holes because it's just going to be a total waste of money, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
make sure, yeah. So it's just like it's blocking and tackling, but making sure that the contact forms on your website are set up correctly and they're receiving entries okay, and you're all those sort of things, like, or else those are all holes in your website. So, but yeah, I love that analogy.
yeah, exactly. So, great thing. So we're going to get into one of the bigger holes, which is the connects. So, folks, do we know what connects means? So in this context of connects, I mentioned it. It's when the sales development rep, the person doing the cold outreach, finally gets on the phone or a conversation with either a key decision maker, with the prospect, or an influencer slash champion, right? And I think we were gonna run a poll
Yep.
right
Yeah, I'm
around
ready.
here. All right, so there's a question I think that might be popping up for you, and if you can
So,
please.
so this is on average, how many calls, emails, social media messages do you receive once per week? Okay, great.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. So you have it here on the slide. That's fantastic. From random salespeople. Sorry, not sorry. That is what we are.
Are you able to see these
Yeah.
results right now, Derek?
I was just going to say, I cannot see the results. I'm
Okay.
just looking at the slide.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think so. I'll share it when I'm done. I have the opportunity to share when it's ending it. So 10 of 14 have answered right now. I'll give it 5 more seconds
Sure.
and then we'll share.
Sure.
Um, okay, share results. Can you see this now?
Let me take a look. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Great.
So we have 10 to 49 are 60%, 50
Really?
to yeah, I was shocked. I actually thought it would be higher. We also have
Yeah.
a relatively, I guess it depends who's in the room as well.
Mm-hmm.
But 50 to 200 was like 30%, 200 to 400. Yeah, so that's combined 40%, right? 50 plus to as high as, so it's still, but I think I think we all kind of get the idea that we're bombarded. We're all bombarded. Our inboxes are flooded, especially, and we're getting the calls too, and and they're all for good reason, guys. Like and we have to do it for good reason to ignore many of it, a lot of it, right? Because we have our work cut up. We have our work to do, right? We all have our jobs. But on the flip side, what this means for the sales development reps and people doing cold outreach is that we're not getting connected very much. And what I pulled up here is just a screen, the results from a survey done by the Bridge Group. They're an organization that surveys hundreds of B2B and B2C organizations that have sales departments. And what they're sharing here is that basically, regardless of whether you're doing outbound as email centric, or on the bottom part, phone centric, like simple selling, we're heavy on the phones. That the actual number of QCs per day, or quality conversations per day, is quite low. For an email centric outbound, it's only around 2.9 or 3 conversations per day. If you're phone centric, 4.1. So this is, a huge factor in that funnel, right? And what is the actual impact of having a low connect? Well, big one is burnout by the sales development rep, even turnover. We've experienced that, and maybe some of you guys can relate. And ultimately, for the MSP, fewer appointments, right? If you're not even having enough conversations, it's going to be really hard to get enough appointments. And so, how do we go about, fixing this, or at least improving it in some way? So, what we experienced, we started this in 2019, or I personally started in 2019. I didn't have a team at the time, but we've worked our way up, and what I have here on the top is the old way, is how we kind of used to approach things. Is we would start with the ICP, the ideal client profile, right, from our MSPs. Would go into a tool, a tool like Apollo or Seamless, and there's many others, Zoom Info. There's many of them out there. Would match up the ICP, do a nice export from that tool, feeling like super excited, put it into the CRM for our SDR to start hitting the phones and assign those leads to the SDR, and we're ready to go. And yeah, we got those averages that I showed in the previous slides, like 3-4 conversations per day. Just imagine for a moment, if 96% of your work was just thrown into the bin, a trash bin, out of 100 calls a day, you're not getting what even the conversation. So that's how we were doing it. And now, what we do different is this green box represents assigning the leads to our junior sales development rep. So think of, in your MSP, like, you guys have different levels of technicians, right? Level 1, level 2, level 3. That's kind of like what we did, right? We brought in a sort of a more level 1 person, and that person's job is to be the first filter of the outreach that we do. And so what that person is doing is basically just validating, first and foremost, John, right? Is John still the person who's overseeing technology and security initiatives over there at the firm, right? Is that person still in charge, or is that person in charge of these types of things? On top of that, we got to find out, is this company in fact 20 employees or greater, right? If that's the ICP for the MSP. But more, beyond that, very basic cleanup, we need to find out if this company actually picks up the phone, or if this prospect is a phone person. We have a way of tracking that as they go through the initial campaign or cleanup campaign. Or are they more of an email person? Or are they very active on LinkedIn, actively posting and commenting on LinkedIn? And we have a whole process around this now that's in our CRM. And it's not this is not like rocket science or anything, but this has had a quite an impact. So now we're connecting 200, 3x what we used to, and it's been a game changer for us. So I'd highly encourage, if you guys are struggling with low connects, to work on a process around that, because if you don't, we run into these problems of not connecting enough. Any questions or thoughts? I'm always trying to get it more interactive throughout. So
what
Q&A
CRM are you using?
Oh yeah, I should be charging HubSpot for this, but yeah. Yeah, we tend to use, I used to work at HubSpot, so I was drinking the orange Kool-Aid before I even started the company. But yeah, some of our MSPs are using Keep. Some of our MSPs are using a few other CRMs, but we generally use HubSpot.
Okay, yeah, we just SimpleSat, we just switched to HubSpot as well. We're pretty happy so far.
Yeah, no, it's a great tool. Awesome. So I'll just if no one has any thoughts or in the chats, because I can't really see the chats, I'll just
right. Yeah, we just got a team pipe drive in the chat as well.
Oh, okay, sure, perfect, right. Now let's get to the next part, which is improving the realized portion, right? So just as a reminder, what we mean by realize is, once the first time appointment is booked, which is the step right before it's on the calendar for the MSP and the prospect, we want to make sure, do our very best to have that realization of that appointment. And what, again, I brought up another statistic or report here from the Bridge Group, the same survey. And, what they're showing is that the average cadence or sequence has 11.3 attempts. So the cadence or sequence, what that's referring to, some of you guys know exactly what that is, but some of you may not. So that's just like the campaign, if you will, of how many times the SDR is calling or emailing or just kind of pushing, right, with sales activities, with outreach to the prospect. And as you know, what's easy to sticks out is it's just going up and to the right, up and up. And that constant push is part of, it's understandable, right, from the previous section that we just talked about, because we need to connect. But at the same time, some prospects, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but sometimes prospects just say yes. Yeah, I'll take the appointment. Yeah, sure. They just want to get off. Why? Because they just want to stop being pushed into a corner, quote unquote, forced into an appointment. And obviously, this is going to result in no surprise, a lower realization of those appointments, a fake yes. And so, let's see. Oh yeah. So, I think we have a question. One of the points here, I did skip this, is just a reminder again that we are not in the inbound referral scenario, right? These are not folks that are necessarily, ready to sign the check or the managed services agreement to switch to your MSP, right? Like in the case of referrals, right? With inbound case, right? Outbound, we're interrupting them. We're coming into their world. We're saying, hey, you should talk to us. We have something of value to bring to the table. And, it's really important to put a lot of thought. And I think this is where a lot of MSPs, haven't had the opportunity to think about this as much, just because they're so good with tools like yours, right? Because they're getting those inbound referrals, that just haven't put a lot of, frankly, just time and thought into what the bait is going to be, right? Because I'll be totally, share that we struggled in the first couple of years because we were just cold calling and saying, hey, how's it going with IT support over there? You pretty happy? Are you satisfied? Could you take a quote? It was a little bit more than that, but that was essentially it. And we had a real problem with the realization rate, right? So I think this is where we're going to ask a question, a poll, I question, I believe, which is, I don't have the question right in front. Oh, yeah, here we go. So just a quick, I guess, before we ask the question, the buyer's journey, right? Thinking about your prospect's journey towards purchasing managed services or co-managed services, if that's the case. Typically, in an inbound context, or inbound where you're getting that referral, right? They're already here in the decision stage, provider aware and a big smile, right? They already love your MSP because their friend, their friend or their peer said that your company is fantastic, right? And not only do they like you before they've even spoken to you, they have a need. They have a need because that's right when they were introduced to you, right? So that's the decision stage that we all love and more familiarized from inbound. But there's also, before all that, there's also consideration stage and awareness stage, where consideration, where they were aware of the solution, and even a step before that in their journey, became aware of there being a problem. So the question is in the poll, visualize, please, the perfect prospect, right? That 50-person company, manufacturing, or whatever the industry you guys love, it works great with your MSP, at which stage in their buyer's journey would you prefer to meet them for the very first time?
And the poll is launched. I did it a minute ago. So we already have 11 responses, which is great.
Yeah. Which stage in the prospect's journey would you prefer to meet them for the first time?
It's a good question. I've never thought about that before. I don't want to share my answer. I don't want to be wrong. All right, I'm going to end the poll here.
Okay.
Sharing results.
Very interesting. So we have awareness stage, almost half, 45%. You guys would prefer to meet them earlier. Consideration stage in the middle, around, so 18. And then at the decision point, 36%. Would someone who answered in awareness stage, please, in the chat, share why you put awareness stage, if you don't mind? Or several, it's great to get a couple of answers if possible. And I'm not sure I'll actually be able to see that, Corey, unless I go.
You should be able to see the chat. If not, I'll relay everything to you.
Okay. Here,
Yeah.
I'll go.
So far we have, I want our leads to know as soon as possible. The longer they know us, the more likely they are to switch to us. I want to be the one to help educate them.
Yes. Exactly.
And then a follow-up to the first one. They feel like they know us already if they get to know them through the awareness stage. And then one more, some at the consideration stage, get 3 companies and anyone else is out. So it's kind of, you might even be too late. That's what I'm getting from that once they're at the consideration stage.
Yeah, you might be too late, right? Because let's say, so the referrals are going to happen, right? So let's assume that you're doing the cold outreach with the SDR, right? And then you have a meeting with the perfect ICP, but you're going to make them aware of their security gaps, for example, cybersecurity gaps, right? What kind of impression are you going to leave on them after that conversation, right? So that by the time they're ready to switch, you're already high level for them. Yeah, they're going to get the referral, right? But you're already on top because you are the one who made them aware of the problem in the first place, right? So why am I mentioning all of this? And how does this, why does this matter to the realization rate? Well, let me actually, before that, I have this slide. So let me address, the problem, right? We're not getting appointments realized. MSP, you're going to be frustrated, or your account executive who does the closing is going to be frustrated, right? We're burning bridges with those prospects because if, that assumes that the offer or, the SDR is just pushing people to get a meeting. You got to meet with us. You got to meet with us. You got to meet with us, right? That is really annoying. And that's really little value, right? Just to talk about, switching IT providers as a first way to meet your MSP, right? For your appointment. So back to the point of why it's important for us to get in front of the ideal prospect at the awareness and consideration stage, because it gives us that competitive advantage. And that's largely because, and it comes here, like this is a quote from a well-known organization within the MSP space. It says, finally, the average deal time for managed services is substantially longer than a transactional product-led engagement. It's not uncommon for large managed service deals to take a year or longer to design, negotiate, and close. Therefore, salespeople need to have patience. So it takes long. Timing is a big factor, but it's also on top of that important to bring value to the prospect and make them aware of the problems that they're not even aware that they might have. Because that, in doing so, you're able to build that trust. You're able to be the one that's that they perceive as, you know, better, right? Maybe than the existing provider, who is who we hope is not the best provider for them, or is at least, you know, not the most exciting one to work with. So so how did we go about fixing this, or improving realization rates in our side? So the old way, I've already kind of I think I explained how we were doing it before, is we would cold call about providing an IT support quote, and we would have folks agree eventually after we cornered them. um, and they would book, but then the first time appointment would happen after that, and then we hope for discovery meetings. But, you know, we did see a pretty substantial drop off in realization rates, right? The new way, the things that's going much better for us, is, so now we have, you know, we're approaching the prospect with value in terms of education, right? You know, what I'm trying to do here right now, right? I want to provide education for MSPs that are doing outbound, right? It's much better. It's been much better for simple selling for us to have this approach as well. So our MSPs are also doing this. So they're calling about lunch and, you know, offering a lunch and learn, an educational event. And that could be about a variety of topics, whatever it is that your MSP specializes in. Many of them are doing it on something cyber liability or cybersecurity related, oftentimes. And then after that, after we've generated that awareness for prospects, you know, from there, you know, our appointment setter, our more senior SDR, salesman rep, will follow up with people who registered, people who attended first, registered, may not have attended the whole group, and offer that first time appointment with a free high value offer, right? That is not, let me sit down with you to just give you a quote, right? There's got to be an offer first. There's got to be that value first. The reason that there's also an arrow that goes right from the cold call to the appointment is because we also sometimes, you know, our SDR is not only following up with the folks from the webinar. He or she is also doing straight up, you know, going right for the appointment, if you will. So this is much better. This is going much better than how we used to do things. And I think it's just, I wanted to share that with you guys, so that if any of you are thinking of going this direction, that if you're feeling like, you get all these people who agree to the appointment and then they just don't show up, that, you know, this might be helpful, maybe. So I'd encourage you to look into other high value offers. And what I wanted to share now is just an example, because I love to get examples, Corey, like from outside of the MSP world bubble, because we're all in our bubbles, right? Everyone to a certain degree. But, you know, this one is from an accounting firm. I think they're called Tax Hive. I think that's what they're called. I can't remember the name of it, but their offer, in an accountant's, like, we know that they are also very similar to MSPs in that it's a generally speaking, a very mature industry, right? Commoditized to, right? Accountant. But their offer is discover if your current accountant is costing you money, $10,000 guarantee. And what their offer is, you know, qualify now, no purchase necessary, right? A network of licensed service providers will find you $10,000 in missing or potential tax deductions for your business, or they'll pay you $100, no purchase necessary. They call it the business optimization blueprint. Right? So that $10,000 that we'll find is high value. It doesn't matter if I'm in a contract with an accounting firm, or if I have my best buddy is my accountant, right? I want to know, you know, if you can save me some money, and it's free, right? And you know, it's this, you know, this is the kind of thing, right? It's a free consultation. You're going to get something one way or another. This is much better than, let's say, an accountant who just calls and says, would you like a quote for our accounting services? Right off the bat. And I've never even heard of who you are, or why should I bother even considering switching to you from my current accounting provider? So I just thought that this was a good example from
That's really
outside.
great. I think it's great what you did here too of copying from another professional services industry, not just MSPs. I do that myself a lot, like when we're just building the product for the UX, UI, or feature ideas. I never look to direct competitors, but I do look at Slack or Intercom or Notion or GitHub or other kind of respected SaaS tools, because it's super boring, and you're not going to be differentiated if you're copying from a competitor. And so yeah, I think that's just a great idea there too, along with that really amazing offer that accounting firm had of looking to other professional services and seeing what they're doing, what's working, and use that instead of just looking to your MSP neighbor and copying what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? It's just way harder, but yeah, I definitely think I've learned a lot just from coming in to simple selling from outside. I was making smoothies before, and then I worked in HubSpot, and I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning a lot every day from working with MSPs. But anyway, bringing it back, I think we're almost wrapping it up here, I think, but this has helped our realization rate considerably. We were closer to, almost like 50% for some time. 80% is reasonable. People will miss meetings, will get rescheduled. Appointments will get rescheduled. We're talking to decision makers, of course. They're busy, so it'd be crazy to expect 100% booked to be realized, but we're in a much better place with this. So I hope that this, some of this stuff was helpful. And oh yeah, so I guess Q&A.
Yeah, let's do Q&A. I have one question. And by the way, everyone in the audience, please just type your questions in the chat. First question I have though is about, like, what would you consider like a good connect rate or a good set rate?
Yeah. So for the connect rate, just a reminder, that is if you're of a sales development rep that's doing like 100 cold calls in a day, how many times does he or she actually speak with a key decision maker? The benchmark in that report was like for phone centric outbound, I think it was like 3.9 or 4 was like average, right? Across in that survey. So in our case now we're getting double, triple that sometimes because of this. So, where many MSPs might have thought of, oh, like my sales rep is not connecting enough, I need to just hire another SDR. That is very expensive. But now if you're able to get 2 or 3 times the connect rate for a fraction of that additional cost, it's definitely better. It's better for everyone. So yeah, so like 4 or 5% I think was average, but now, at least with us anyway, it's we're getting closer to like 10%, 15. I don't think we've ever gotten to 20% of our calls.
Right.
But
okay. Is there like a minimum deal size that you target? Because I know like with Simple Sat, especially our deal sizes are going to be way lower than most MSPs, because we found that outbound to not be so successful for Simple Sat, especially in the beginning when we only had like $50 or $100 a month plans. Is there still a minimum deal size with MSPs to figure out like if you're still going to get ROI in the whole outbound initiative?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the first questions I asked him, because to answer that, I mean, generally speaking, you want to be going after some large MRR, but large could be like 3,000, 4,000, plus MRR. What is a good one? Because yeah, you got to make the math has to work out. Yeah, I haven't seen it work for something or tried for the deal size that you guys sell at. So it's definitely different.
Right. At Pronto, the same thing. We were going for 100 to 250 a month deal size. The math never worked out.
Yeah, the math is definitely different. Yeah.
We got another question from Daniel here. How do you get prospects to attend a lunch and learn? We've noticed low attendance from business owners in the years past, but haven't tried it recently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not perfect, right? I mean, look, I think we had more registrations than people attend. That's just kind of normal. We are really big believers in food, so we really call it the lunch and learn. What's 10, 15 bucks of sending someone a pizza or a salad so that they can sit down in front of their computer? That's helped us. We've had webinars where we didn't offer the lunch and learn. It was more like, hey, it's at lunchtime, but we're not offering food if they ask. It's just during your lunch hour, and we had a lower attendance rate. But I think even beyond that, it's like, is the content really? The content's got to be on point. It's got to be what they're looking for. So I would start with making sure that content is speaking to their needs, especially if it's a vertical. Like a vertical can draw more people in because there aren't as many webinars on specific verticals, but you could customize things a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So,
any other tactics to increase connect rate?
To increase connect rate, yeah. So, one of the bigger things that we've done in the past, is you always want to make sure that you have a couple of people to ask for. Because sometimes for some CRMs that we've worked with and some of the MSPs, they were like, there's only one primary, and they work off of the contact record instead of the company record in their pursuit and their sequences and campaigns, right? So all their eggs are in one basket. Definitely try to have a couple of names to drop when you're on the call. Yeah, I would say, and you need to have a process around, when you're going to open up to the reception, the gatekeeper. We try to do it like midway through our sequence, so that we have the first half of the sequence, the first couple of calls, we can try to pass through the gatekeeper. So it's got to be documented. I wouldn't just say, do whatever you like, SDR, to connect. Just try your best. You got to kind of have a process around it.
Right. And then back to the lunch and learn or webinars. Any suggestions for good topics? This is from Laura in the chat.
Yes. Right. Cyber liability. That's a hot topic right now, and it's a perfect space for you as MSPs to come in and support, because so many clients, as they're required through their industry to comply and all that, and so either they want to potentially get cyber insurance, but they may not be qualified for it, or they might have it already, but they may not get the payouts on the claims if they don't do certain things, or purchase certain cybersecurity solutions that you guys happen to sell. That's one that we've been seeing pretty good success with recently. Yeah.
Okay, we have one question to see the QR code again. I'm going to steal your share. Is this the one you want here?
Here. Should I move forward here?
No, I think I stole it from you. Let's see. Is this good, Jim? Cool. And also that's going to go to Eric at simplesat.io. Okay. Cool. There's not any more questions, so I'm going to launch a final poll, just kind of about the webinar. But if you have any other questions, hopefully we could fit in one or two more answers as well. We still have some time. But let me launch that poll here quick.
A moment of truth here.
End of webinar poll. All right, launching this. So we have 3 questions here. How much did you get out of today's session? 2, how would you like us to help after the webinar? And here you can opt into a demo from SimpleSat or discuss sales with Derek. And would you like to opt in to the next MSP Insights webinar? And that just makes it easy for you to automatically be but get the calendar invite and be a registrant. Doesn't mean you have to show up, but makes it easy. This run. And then also, kind of while we let this run too, you could see that we have 2 links here, QR codes that you could scan. First one for simple selling, where you can get a free video course by Derek. And so just scan this or go to simpleselling.co/DIY, or you just Google simple selling, they'll show up first as well. Or for Simple Sat, you can book a demo.
It's more of a wait list right now. The course is going to be coming out soon. I hope so. You sign up there, you'll be the first to know when it's
Great,
ready.
exclusive. Okay, so I think we're good with this poll. If there aren't any other questions, we'll wrap this up. Thank you so much, Derek. I learned a lot. I know I did. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hannah, for gracing us with your presence. You did
Thank
great.
you, Hannah, Corey,
Thank you.
and their whole team there.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.
Thank you.
And
Thank
all
you,
right,
guys.
see you next time.
All right. Take
Okay.
care.
Bye.